Greetings, one and all, once again, back to Exploring Arda. And although I am your host, Jackson, this time I will actually be trying to introduce some guest segments to the show, where we pretty much talk about anything Tolkien related, whether it be Lord of the Rings, The Hobbit, or something else. Anything is pretty much open for any guest suggestions. So I'm very excited so that I can actually talk to others about Tolkien and all of his works that have been expanded, either from books, films to games even. So I'm really excited, and this is our pretty much the first guest segment to the show. So without further ado, enjoy. Okay, everybody, say hello to YouTube, Chris.
Hi, everyone. Hi.
This is, from the intro that I said, this is Exploring Arda, and this is my very first guest, and really, really excited to have you on. So, but
Hey.
Today...
Yeah, thanks for having me, Jackson.
Yeah, sorry. So today, which I'm trying to schedule it out here so that this is going to be published on YouTube on Hobbit Day, which is September 22nd. And thought that would be kind of fitting because, today we're talking not about Silmarillion in general, because that's kind of what my main videos are, but today we're kind of talking more about games of Tolkien, of Lord of the Rings, pretty much. So, so what is your first, experience of, Lord of the Rings, Tolkien games? What kind of got you into that stuff?
Yeah, so it's really interesting, and I love hearing the different ways that people get into Tolkien's worlds. And for me, I was probably in junior high, and some friends of mine wanted to play Dungeons and Dragons, and so we started doing that, and I had a lot of fun with it. And it was just great, creating our own worlds, our own characters, and all that fun stuff when you're a kid. And one of my friends was super into Tolkien and started telling me about it, and he gave me a copy of The Hobbit. Good friends, someone I'm still very good friends with, and that's nice. Wow, that just opened all those doors. It was really a lot of fun. And from there, we started. The first game that was Tolkien themed that I played was probably The Lonely Mountain, which was a game from the early 80s. It's like a Iron Crown Enterprises made wonderful games back then, and so that was one of them. And that was a super fun game where you playing the dwarves, going around trying to collect treasure and avoid smog.
Oh, that's awesome! So
that was fun.
It's kind of like the assault on the Lonely Mountain against smog, pretty much.
Yes, yeah, exactly. And it was compared to games now, which they're very nicely produced and they look wonderful. This was pretty basic as far as the components. It was just kind of like little markers and a hex map, a sheet of paper, and some cards. And we had so much fun with it. It didn't, and the artwork was very nice. I think might have been John Howe who did it.
Oh, wow.
In fact, I've got let me grab it. I've got it right here.
Yeah.
I don't know if you can see this, but this was my copy of it. And I still play it sometimes I have a 10-year-old son, and we'll play this from time to time. So this is not John Howe, but you can see there's some dwarves running away from smog there.
Yeah, that's so cool. Yeah, I always love the old artwork pieces like that. And the whole thing, I think kind of like what you mentioned, even if it's a simple kind of thing, all it really needs is the theater of the mind aspect. And that's a really big thing of D&D, is kind of picturing what's happening, So, but
I agree. Yeah, it's almost better in your imagination, just like when we're reading the book, and that's what I like so much about those kinds of games.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's actually really cool. Actually, there was kind of a recent release where we have I got this book, The Lord of the Rings 5th edition.
Ah, nice. Yeah.
And I was kind of skimming through a lot of these things too, and there was a lot of really cool stuff that they implemented into that book too. And it's all based on I think it was between The Hobbit and Lord of the Rings is where it's officially set. So you can do a lot of
Okay.
things, and it's kind of mostly based in Eriador, so kind of like um, pretty much the west of the Misty Mountains, pretty much, and that's kind of where it's set. So, but so far it looks pretty cool, and yeah, so that's kind of like my D&D thing.
Yeah.
My favorite
No, that's
things.
fantastic. I have the copy of it. I have the. I think it's the same game because it's the. I mean,
Yeah,
it's a similar.
yeah, the One Ring. Yeah,
Sim,
yeah.
and this is it's not the one you have is probably D&D compatible. Is that it, right?
Yeah,
Or
it's like fifth
and this one
edition.
is its
Yeah.
own system. But I've not played it yet. But I can't wait to. It it's so nicely produced, isn't it? Like the artwork is
Yes.
fabulous. It's a
Yes.
really nice looking game.
Yeah, exactly. And I was like, because like I saw, because at the game store that I got it at, I was like, it was either that one or the original one, the one that you have right there. And I was just like, I don't know, because I've been running my fifth edition campaign for so long. I was like, I should probably get that one instead,
Yeah, yeah,
and then try out the other one too. So, so that's pretty cool. I kind of like that, and I feel like Lord of the Rings fits so well with D&D because I mean you get all the different like classes and you get the adventures that are just like it's so much fantasy just compared into one. So like Lord of the Rings is perfect for that. So
yeah. No, it's great. It's great. If I had a D&D campaign going now, I probably would have got that one too.
mm-hmm.
But I just figured I would try this one with my son at some point, or then my daughter. They like these games as well. So
That's so cool.
I'm starting them young.
Yeah, I might as well. That's great. I love hearing that.
Yeah.
I'm sure they probably love the movies then too, right?
Oh yeah, they were just. We had a great time watching them, and my son during all the lockdown, we were home so much during COVID a couple of years ago that we read the whole thing
Nice.
out loud, and that was really fun. I mean, it's a different experience, like you're doing on this awesome podcast, like reading it aloud, and getting all the richness of the language. I mean, I had never. I mean, a lot of those things are meant to be read aloud. All the different things that Gandalf is casting these spells or saying giving his various things that he's trying to do, like at the doors of Moria, incantations and things, and all the words, like it just gives it a different feel when you're reading it aloud. I found myself stopping a lot and trying to making sure I had the right pronunciation for my son. And so, but he got into it there, and then we watched the movies, which he loved, and a good friend of mine gave us a bunch of the Warhammer minis. Like there's a, Games Workshop does a really nice version of it. It's called Battle of Middle Earth or something, I think.
I think so. Yeah.
Middle Earth strategy game, and so we were making the minis, and we were doing that, and we were playing Lonely Mountains. So yeah, but they do enjoy the films too. Yeah,
that's so cool. I love that.
Yeah,
and it is so hard to pronounce things, especially in like the Elvish language. It's actually like when you're reading it out loud, it's so hard. It's so difficult to be like, is this right?
Right? Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I think it's just it's the effort that really counts. So.
Yeah, I mean, you can get really into like there are scholars of that stuff who are are fluent in it, and they consultants with the films and things like that, and people who are really. I mean, I can appreciate it, but I don't delve that deeply into into the languages. I'm not fluent in.
Not fluent in Elvish or Sindarin or nah. Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. I guess another question. So now that we're kind of more in the modern age and stuff like that with video games and stuff like that, did you play any of the Lord of the Rings centered video games?
Oh yeah, I mean, starting back when I had a PC, when I first had a PC in the early '90s, there were a couple of them. I think one was Riders of Rohan that I played. There are some good sites online too that will just, I think, that replicate them or that gives you an idea of what they look like, and that was a fun one. And then more recently, like I do have an Xbox, and I don't really play as much right now, but before my children came along, I was playing a little bit of the Shadow of War, Shadow of Mordor. I mean, those games are just outstanding. I thought they were so well done, so well produced. They really, I don't know how true to the spirit of Tolkien it was, like the actual books, but they were fantastic action games. They were so well done, and the way that you built up your character and all that stuff. It was right. You've played them as well, I'm sure, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
I played them on the PC as well, and it was like,
yeah.
I don't know. I feel like there was like, even if there was like little small connections and stuff like that, it was still enough to get that Middle Earth vibe to it, while kind of making your own character kind of, going around Mordor and whatnot, killing a bunch of orcs and stuff. So it's like, it was cool. It was a fun story, but yeah, just like little connections. That's kind of all you need sometimes for a game to just have that nice, lore feel to it, I guess, in a way. So.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, they obviously knew the books very well, and they used that stuff to great effect. I was hoping they might come out with a sequel to, but I haven't heard that they're doing another one.
Yeah, I don't know yet. I mean, because they have, the two of them. They have the Shadow of Mordor and Shadow of War, and then I don't know if they're gonna make another one. It'd be fun. I would love that.
Yeah, that other game Gollum came out recently, and I think it didn't get the best reviews, but I hadn't played it.
Yeah, I haven't played it either, but I was kind of unsure about it. I guess I didn't really know if they needed to make a Gollum like video game. I don't know. I was kind of iffy about it personally.
The concept seemed difficult. Like from his point of view, it's a pretty rough point of view.
Yeah,
like, I don't know how much you want to replicate his steps through Middle Earth. I don't know. I mean, it could be interesting, I guess, but it didn't appeal to me when I heard it. I was like, that sounds a little odd, but I don't know though. I haven't played it, so I'd have to try it.
Right. Yeah.
But there were a few other earlier Xbox games too that were very good.
Oh.
I think one was called Battle for Middle Earth, and that was pretty fun.
Yeah.
Like they were much less sophisticated than something like Shadow of Mordor, but they weren't bad though.
So I think what was the Battle for Middle Earth? Was that more of like the strategic game, right?
I think, from what I remember, it was more like it's like a strategic war game. Yeah, you would have your little armies and move them around, trying to take over territories and things like that. So
kind of like a whole like League of Legends kind of thing. You're like overview on the map, and you send characters there, here, and there, and all that stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I'm trying not to compare it to League of Legends, but just the viewpoint.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you ever play the Lego Lord of the Rings?
I haven't, but my son was looking at that one. We have to investigate it. Is that good? Is it really? It's a lot of. They make great games. Lego seems to make wonderful games. So
I mean, like for me, like I enjoyed Lego Lord of the Rings. They also have the Hobbit as well. They have Lego Hobbit and Lego Lord of the Rings, and they're both really, really awesome. I preferred the Lego Lord of the Rings. I guess just because I prefer Lord of the Rings over the Hobbit, but. I mean, it's the same concept, really. You get special items. You go through the whole adventure. There's silly moments, all that stuff. I enjoy it just because it's a very casual game, and you kind of get the whole gist of the story in a more comical sense. And it was kind of the same thing with like Lego Star Wars for me, because that was like my first Lego game.
Yeah.
And that was a great one, but yeah, it was good. I enjoy Lego Lord of the Rings and all that.
Yeah, the Star Wars one I played quite a bit with my son, and that was really fun. We had a great time. But there's enough humor in there to keep. He hadn't even seen all the movies at the time, but he found it very funny anyway.
Yeah. That's good. Yeah, that's why. That's why I asked about the Lego games, because it's like I know you have your kids, so it's like I don't know.
Yeah.
Try to introduce them, I guess, that way.
Yeah. They also watched. I mean, it's not a game, but those old Rankin Bass films. I mean, they when they were even younger, and the the movies are a bit too much for really young kids. So we were watching like, the old Rankin Bass Hobbit and
the animated.
What's that?
The animated Hobbit and stuff.
Yeah, the animated Hobbit, and then the Ralph Bakshi Lord of the Rings, and they enjoyed those very much too. Those are really fun movies.
Yeah,
that's what I grew up watching. So I was like, hey, let's try these.
Yeah, I think I actually have them here. Hold on. I have so there's that one.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That one and Lord of the Rings. And,
awesome. Yeah.
I love watching these as well. They're so good.
Yeah. No, they're fun. I think that was probably the very first experience I had with anything related to Tolkien was The Hobbit was broadcast on TV when I was very young, and I remember watching it and being interested in it. It was just unlike anything else that I'd ever seen. Its story was so good, and it was unusual for other things that were on TV in the early 80s or late 70s. It was very different. Yeah.
Yeah, because I think like at that time they were trying to implement like sci-fi stuff, like Star Trek was probably on at that point and stuff. But then having like a fantasy animated movie was probably kind of off there, it didn't really fit in, I suppose, yet.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. So I guess that's kind of like your first like Tolkien story, kind of how you got into Middle Earth and whatnot.
Yeah, when I was maybe 5 or so, I watched that, and then I didn't think about it much more until those games when I was maybe a young teenager, and my friend actually gave me the book, and then I, couldn't stop reading anything about Tolkien since then, pretty much. So that's how it happens for a lot of us, I guess.
Yeah, it's true. It's so much true. Yeah. As soon as you pick up the first book, finish it, and it's just like, now you need more, and it's just, now it gets expanding, and then, it's awesome.
Yeah.
So, you've read through the whole series, like, a few times, or just once, or?
A number of times. I wouldn't say, I remember Christopher Lee at one point said he read it every year, which is amazing. I haven't read it that many. I know some people do, but, I've read it I guess at this point, probably 6 times or something like that, maybe. Yeah. And then I've read a lot of the histories and things like that. And like I say, many people read it more than that, or they go through the whole of the histories of Middle Earth. I've read bits and pieces of that. The Lost Tales, I've read the first maybe 4 of those, and then I'll refer to the others sometimes,
right?
For various things. And I see you've got the histories of Middle Earth right behind you there.
Yeah, I do. Yeah. I do. It's the whole first shelf. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I absolutely love it.
What's that?
I absolutely love it. Just the whole history and lore of it all. Yeah.
No, it's great. It just makes it all feel so real. And I've loved what they've done in the past 10 or 15 years with releasing some of the tales that were in the Silmarillion, like the Children of Hurin and that kind of stuff. It's been great to read the expanded versions of some of those things. It's really fun.
Yeah. Because I remember they released Fall of Numenor, I think is the recent one. Yeah. Is the recent one. So I'm like, I can't wait to read it. I haven't read it yet because I haven't had much time, but I'm like, because there's the Fall of Gondolin and Beren and Luthien and then Children of Hurin, and there's just like all those expansions from the Silmarillion. I'm really glad that they've been doing that too. It's a really good touch that they've done.
Yes. No, I agree. It's nice that they're, some really nice additions of that, and some of the added material. It's been very well done.
Yeah. I don't know if you have any questions for me, or any other
so what other games are you into? Are you into any of the other tabletop games? There's a lot of really great ones that are out now, like that I've been playing a little bit. I wonder if you have played those, or which ones do you find fun to play?
Well, right now, I'm just doing. Obviously, I was looking through the 5th edition Lord of the Rings for a little bit, but right now, I'm running my own homebrew 5th edition campaign for D&D right now.
Okay.
But my friend and I also have tried to play. It was a Bloodborne game, so I don't know if you know the game Bloodborne or not. It's like a PlayStation game, so I don't know if it was. I don't know if it was released on Xbox or not, but it's kind of like a gothic horror setting, and so they pretty much first they made that as a video game, and then they released a board game off of it.
Okay.
And so you get pretty much all these like minis, and you get tiles, and you have to pretty much have your character defeat all the little enemies before you get to the main boss. So it's very like kind of like it's a simple like theme, I guess. You just kind of like you fight your way, and each tile, I guess, appears once you explore it, kind of thing. And there's like monsters that spawn here, you get treasures here, kind of things like that. So we've been playing a little bit of that, and I don't know if you know the Avatar: Last Airbender series.
I've heard of that. Yeah.
Yeah, the animated one. So yeah, same thing. Me and my friend, we got like a starter set pretty much. I think it was from Kickstarter, and yeah, you pretty much get to choose like you get to be your own like elemental bender pretty much. You know, you get like air, fire, earth, water. You know, and you pretty much hone your skills to pretty much go throughout your own journey and become a greater bender. So it's pretty cool.
Fun. Yeah, it sounds great.
But yeah, so like yeah, because this Lord of the Rings one is the first like Middle Earth tabletop game that I've gotten.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, but yeah. So, but otherwise it's kind of like expansive and stuff like that. So.
Yeah.
But it's always
that sounds really fun. I mean, that I'm sure your friends will want to play that once you get it going. It's a lot of work, right, to start up a campaign, but it's if they're familiar with Dungeons and Dragons already, it should be easy to do. Yeah.
There's a lot of cool things like set apart, obviously, from the book, but like for the most part, it follows like the general rules of 5th edition. So it should be easy to follow. So.
Yeah.
But yeah. So I don't know if you have anything else or.
Well, you just never know where things will take. I mean, the Fantasy Flight for a while was making this game called War of the Ring. I don't know if you ever have seen that one played, but it's a big strategy war game, and it's wonderful. It was amazingly produced, and then it went out of print, and I was like, darn, I would really like to have a copy of that. But Ares Games, a number of years ago, picked it up, and I would just highly recommend those to any fan. Like, just the care that they took with the artwork, the rules, the board, all the little figures. I mean, I'm not really much of a painter, but you can paint them if you want to. But it's War of the Ring is a wonderful game that you're either the Free Peoples or the Shadow Armies, and you're fighting the story of Lord of the Rings. And then they also made a similar one called Battle of Five Armies, and each of them they're great. They take a lot of time, and so if we play it, it takes up your whole kitchen table for a number of days probably, because it's one of those like almost sort of, my son described it as sort of like Axis and Allies, but it's Lord of the Rings, like with millions of little figures everywhere. Those have been fantastic. But that's why we spent a lot of time playing those in the last year or so. They're a lot of fun.
That's awesome. Yeah. It's always good to have more games. Especially when it comes to Middle Earth. It's always awesome. So I'm going to keep that in mind for sure. Yeah, that's awesome. Any other recommendations?
Well, I mean, those were good. The Fantasy Flight also put out a couple of other. They put out a Hobbit board game that we've played, a Lord of the Rings game, which is really good. Got a copy of that one right here.
Oh, yeah.
I think they've just re-released this one, and that's a really good one. You're trying to destroy the ring before Sauron corrupts you, and we've had fun with that one too. They've just, the amount of them, it's hard to even keep up with them. I probably have too many, really, because I can't play them all. We focused more on those big epic war ones because they're newer to us, but just the variety and the different ones that you can play, it's outstanding.
Yeah.
And it's like you can't keep. It's hard to keep up with all of them.
It really is. I could have sworn that I saw the one that one that you were holding there. I was just like, because the font just seems so familiar. I think.
Yeah. I think that this one they may have. It was out a while ago, maybe 15 years ago, and I think they just re-released it as like the anniversary edition, and
Gotcha.
it's worth playing. I mean, it's not. And if you don't want a ginormous thing that's going to take a whole day to play, like this one's just a couple of hours, maybe you can finish it or 90 minutes or something.
Just a little,
these games always say they are like, oh, you can finish it in 90 minutes. It's like, no.
That's like if you're rushing through things like really fast. Like you got to enjoy it. You got to take your time.
Right.
Definitely. Yeah. Do you have any closing comments? Do you want to tag, or if you want people to know like social media or anything, or if not, you don't have to.
Yeah. Sure. Yeah. My name's, I'm Chris Tuthill, and thanks, Jackson, for having me. I'd like to, if you ever want to chat again, I'm happy to do that too. I did run for 3 years back in 2017 through 2019, or actually it was 2014 and then 2015 and 2019. I think we did it. I may have the dates a little off, but we ran a Tolkien conference in New York City. And which was really fun thing to do, and I met a lot of great people, a lot of really wonderful scholars from all around who did that. I'm a librarian, so I work at a college, so that's where we hosted it.
That's awesome.
in CUNY in the city, and so yeah, because you never know where these interests might take you, and I've met so many nice people in the whole fan community, and my friends who ran that with me have become good friends, really, really nice folks, and know a lot about this stuff. And they're just good, nice people to know. I think that's one of the nice parts of being involved in a podcast like this, or being in its gaming groups.
Yeah.
I also, just to mention, if you don't mind me, this is I don't know if you could read that. This is a young adult novel that I published.
Nice.
Was published last year by an independent publisher, but it's called The Osprey Man.
Awesome.
And it's if you're into comic books and and that kind of thing, this is just my plug for my novel.
That's awesome. No, that's anything that like you publish is like a huge accomplishment, I feel like.
It was fun to do, it was really fun, and I was glad that I found a small publisher that was sympathetic and liked it, so that was good.
That's awesome. Sometimes that's all it takes, right? And then you just start plugging here and there and hope it works for the best. Yeah, that's awesome. Sweet. All right. Well, I would love to have another chat again. We'll see if there's another topic that we can cover. I'm sure there's plenty.
Sure. Maybe we could have a game sometime online.
Yeah. That would be awesome. That'd be so fun.
Yeah.
That'd be so great. That gets me excited already. It's just an idea. Yeah, that'd be awesome. So I guess I'll just reach out, talk to you again whenever the time kind of comes up.
Sure. Yeah, it was nice talking with you. I'll keep watching your podcasts.
Awesome.
Good luck with it, and thanks again for visiting with me.
It was awesome talking to you.
All right. You too, Jackson.
All right. See ya.
Okay, take care.
Bye.
All right, well, that was that, and I hope you guys enjoyed the first interview, I should say, that is revolved around exploring Arda and anything that's Tolkien related. So if you guys actually do want to be part of this show of exploring Arda, I would absolutely love that, and you guys can certainly join. We can do different topics and whatnot, like we did with Christopher, which was a great talk. All you gotta do is reach out, on the lands of Ordia, and it should pop up somewhere here on the screen. So just shoot me over an email, and I should be able to try to respond. I also have a very busy life, but I would still love to talk with you guys about any sort of topic. anything Tolkien related. And hopefully this came out on Hobbit Day. So I hope you guys have been having a very exciting Hobbit Day, whether it's very relaxed or not, or, either way, just celebrate Tolkien and his works. There's plenty of dates for all across the calendar to do that, but today is Hobbit Day, so I hope you guys have a very splendid Hobbit Day. And just with all that being said, just make sure to stay tuned for the next episode. And may the light of Elbereth be with you all. Farewell.